Hey guys, it's Biggs. Welcome back. Today, remember the little video about that cute little pokey? Well, today, that cute little pokey is going to come out of this ugly Rubbermaid tub that we can't even see through really well. And she's going to get put into this beautiful boreal vivarium that we've already set up. So let's get her in here.
If you're as fascinated as I am by the incredible diversity of life that surrounds us in this wonderful and sometimes bizarre natural world, then you belong here with me. I make videos on all facets of nature, from aquarium and vivariums, reptiles, isopods, insects and arachnids, all sorts of unique and bizarre plants, all sorts of DIY projects, and I try to dig a little bit deeper into the science behind it all. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, as well as ring that little notification bell, so you'll always be kept up to date when I upload new content. It's truly an honor to have you on this journey with me.
So as functional as this Rubbermaid container may be, you just can't really enjoy this beautiful regal animal, Poecilotheria regalis, the Indian Ornamental, in a container like this. So we're getting ready for all the changes that are happening in the room, but some things are happening faster than others. So some of the vivariums have started arriving, and we started making the backgrounds. So you guys saw the video on how I made some of the backgrounds. Today we're going to be using this one using the natural oak bark. So the vivarium's all ready to go. We've taken out the screen lidding and stuff. We've replaced it with a piece of acrylic with some ventilation. This unit is ready to go entirely. Next step, we've got a bunch of cork bark. I have some artificial decoration that we may add to it just to give it a little pop of color. Normally, guys know me, I'm very much a very naturalist type guy, and I would prefer to have these all done with live plants and so forth. But for right now, because literally there's no spot in the room for it, you can see it's getting out of control. It's all over the tags, it's all over there. There's plants everywhere. The desk is an absolute disaster. So literally you can tell that there's no spot. There's no rack for this to go on yet. But that's coming. We're planning on a big rack going to be going right there for it. But let's get this guy started. Now first thing we got to do is we got to get some substrate in there. I've got a bunch of different types of cork pieces, and the longest pieces I had. See which one looks kind of best. And we got a bunch of substrate already pre-mixed up. Let's get her all set up. We got our catch cups for safety. We got the brush, we got our tweezers. I think we're good to go. This is truly an arboreal species from India, and the area it inhabits in the Ghats is fairly arid. So we want something that's going to retain a bit of moisture, but we're not looking for that hot tropical rainforest type habitat. And maybe before we go and do this, let's see what we can figure out for cork bark. Now, when I'm putting in the cork bark, I want the animal to feel completely secure, but I also want to be able to access the cage. I also want to be able to see the animal, without disturbing it. I want to be able to access the water dish. I like this one because it's got all the different types of lichens and whatnot on it, lots of different textures. But I don't like this cut edge. I don't like this sharp cut edge being right in the front. This one might be too big. Oh, maybe not. Oh, I think we have a winner. I really like this one here. It's not as, on the outside, it may not be as sexy as the other ones with all the lichens and textures and whatnot, but let's get the camera and let's show you guys why I like this one. Okay, I like this piece more so than the other ones, more just for the way it fits better than all of them. It takes up a lot more space of the tank. It comes up really right almost up to the very top. I really, really like this whole area here. So it looks more like a natural hole where the animal would climb into. I like the aspects that I've got some safety measure of me going in and changing the water dish, because this curves around a fair bit to the back here. The animal's not going to quickly come around. I can change a water dish safely in the environment. And then from the viewing side, the other viewing side, I should be able to see the animal from most angles, should I wish. So I think we found the piece that we're going to go with. We're just going to go and fill the substrate up to about here. And that'll hold that piece nice and firmly in place. This is not a fossorial species or a terrestrial species that digs. So if it were, I would probably want to silicone that piece into the bottom and up to the top or something like that, so it wouldn't be moved if it should dislodge it by digging. But this species is completely arboreal, so no issues whatsoever. So basically it's the same type of substrate that I would use for all my isopod containers. So it's honestly not really all that different from what I use on a day-to-day basis. My full intentions is once these are all set up on a rack, is then I'll be able to go and add some live plants, some pothos and things like that, some lower light plants, and then just put an LED strip above the whole rack. So I think that looks good. And I think I'm going to add these couple little, these are just artificial plants from the dollar store, but I think they'll give a nice little addition of color, and they'll give some security or sense of security to the animal. So by doing that there, now I've kind of also emphasized the shelter hole, and I've kind of given her a bit of a shadow over top of it, because these are animals that don't like the light, so she's going to feel a bit more secure being in that spot, knowing that it's covered as well. Not sure where else to place the other one. I got to try. It's going to be challenging to try and push this wire stem directly into the bark itself, but I look for the areas where I have covered it up with cocoa fiber and cork bark and whatnot. It's definitely not up there with, let's say, Petco standards at the Dark Den. I was honestly trying to go and do that route, but trying to do that with organic materials was very, very challenging. I was running pieces of oak bark through the table saw to try and think, but his enclosures are actually, he made them himself, and the doors are vastly different. This door here, when it opens, it leaves an opening here of, about 3/4 of an inch in size. And honestly, I think that spider, even at full size, could fit through there. So for me to do that type of an opening, that thing's not going to work on this type of an environment. So let's get her in here. Now, all members of this genera are known to be medically significant venom. So we want to be extremely cautious. We want to be diligent. We want to have all our tools available at our disposal. So I have different methods of catch cups. I have my brush for coaxing her out if we need be, moving her gently. I have my tweezers. But we just want to be very, very cautious. Do this in a time when you don't have any disturbances. There's no reason to be putting your hand in the enclosure. I'll use these for getting the water dish. The water dish I'll just dump and refill. Sink that into the substrate somewhat. Now I can see where she is in the enclosure. She's actually fairly docile. She probably doesn't like the idea of me disturbing everything that she's built. Sorry, pretty girl, but you can do that all again. No, I think we're going to get a bigger catch cup. All right, let's try again. I went and grabbed the bigger catch cup. I've always been fond of using plastic bottles. My favorite one is the one by Smart Water, and I don't know where I put it, but it's it's similar to this one, but it's a heavier plastic. It's a bit more firm, holds up better. And if that doesn't work, the other aspect we got then is we can then try and tilt her into the enclosure directly from her old one. Come on, pretty girl. And that truly gives you an idea of her size. gently coax her up. And there she goes. You can just see the tips of her feet. She went down that exact hole where we expected. Got her water dish ready. The next step is honestly just leave her alone. Let her adjust to her new surroundings. I'm sure it's a bit stressful. She's right there. Or just as a quick update, that video that we talked about, this is actually the revised version of the vivarium for the Poecilotheria regalis, my big female. It's not what we originally intended, it's not what we talked about, but honestly, trying to put the two pieces of cork together on that side was causing all sorts of problems. And then secondly, when I didn't want to go and have to de-stress her again and rehouse her again, so I've left her alone. She's got her nice little web built up in that corner on the left behind her piece of cork bark. I can see her visually just by turning the display, or I can also go and use my my lights at night and stuff, my red lights, and I can see her. But I've added the addition of some natural oak, which is also the same thing that the actual background is made out of. And I think I'm happy with it. For now, I'm not going to just go about stressing her out any further. We're just going to leave her alone. She's happy. She comes out and hunts every night. She's wonderful.